Dictate your mood as we inhale in through our nose and exhale out through our nose. See if we can begin to get that focus to the present. Just being in the moment of now. Seeing if you can let the body go and find the passiveness that being still will let you find. As we take those inhales and exhales. If your Ujjayi breath is in your practice, begin to perform those deep exhales now. If you've never tried the Ujjayi breath, imagine that you're blowing out through a straw from your throat, making an audible snore sound. Making the exhales really long. Inhale now into the belly, into the rib cage, and into the chest. Exhale from chest, ribs, belly. Seeing if you can inflate those three areas with every breath. Really calming the mind and resetting the body. That Ujjayi exhale. Letting everything go, all of your tensions. And being completely present. While you're laying on your back, if your feet aren't flat on the floor, just step one foot, step the other foot and bring your knees up to the ceiling. Touch your knees together and bring your feet wide onto the mat. And continue with that Ujjayi breath. This time, as we inhale, we're sweeping the arms back up over our head. And exhaling, floating them back down. As though they're super, super light, super loose. And they're just drifting through water, working in time with your breath. Our practice today, our intention, either work with this one or set your own. Just think about fluid, being fluid through your body, being greasing through those limbs, paying particular attention to movement today. As you inhale care now, taking the arms overhead and just releasing your hands down to the mat. If they don't go, open them a bit wider into a wider V. And then stretching one leg away from you and the other leg away. Having the feet wide onto the mat. If this hurts your back, keep your knees bent a little bit. And just almost open yourself up to the sky. Taking your arms out to the side now into a T shape. Opening your legs a bit more. And being in this really vulnerable position. But just find the floor. Find the release through the front body. And taking a few breaths here just to totally reset. And then bringing one foot up and then the second foot up. And hugging your knees into your chest and having a little movement from side to side, a little sway, teasing those knees in. Maybe the knees are open, maybe they're together. Just feeling that gentle massage through the low part of the spine here. Then bringing your feet flat on the floor. Now we're going to take ourselves over to a child's pose. So either you walk around or you take your feet flat on the floor. Come up, push yourself up with your elbows and shift your bottom back and then walk over the knees. So however you get there, you're going to find that child's pose at the front end of your mat. And let your bottom come all the way back and sink your head down between your knees. Stretching out your back, walking your fingers along the mat. Bring a little bit of movement here. Rock the hips slightly from side to side with a little swaying motion. And feel the side body open a little bit more each time. Creeping those fingers away. Coming up now onto tippy fingers as though we have oranges between our palms and the mat. Try and lift your elbows and stretch and open up through that side body a little bit more. If you need to put a block between your bottom and your heels to sit on, it may take some discomfort away if you find this a challenging pose. Keep breathing now into the back body. Exhaling. Keeping that soft gaze or the eyes closed, but focusing on just you, no distractions, and the sound of my voice. Coming up onto the knees, placing the forearms onto the floor. Shuffle your feet backwards so your toes are in line with the back of your mat. Elbows down, and then walk your hands forwards, keeping your elbows on the mat, and let your forehead come down so your bottom is high to the ceiling. Try and have your thighs so they're vertical. Maybe you can walk your fingers a little bit further away from you. And find that puppy pose. Feel the opening through the shoulders, the front of the chest. Either stay here or push the elbows into the mat, palms together, squeeze the elbows in around your ears and take your hands back over your head. Maybe your thumbs touch your upper back. If this feels really easy for you and you feel like you want more stretch, use your block. So bring your elbows onto your block and let the head come through the gap. Do whatever feels feels right for you. Get those shoulders open. Aiming to keep this position, but maybe you need to take your hands on the floor again. We're going to stretch one leg behind us, so slide it onto the mat and push the ball of the foot and push the heel away. Like I say, if you need to, take your hands back down onto the mat. Yeah, and you're going to rock backwards and forwards into that Achilles and into your calf. Just open up through the back of the leg. Feeling that warmth into the hamstring, into the calf, and moving into that stretch through the shoulders a little bit deeper, and then swapping sides. Taking that foot back, pushing into the heel, opening up through those shoulders. And working on that lower part of the leg. Placing the hands down on the mat, bringing the knee back in. Shuffle your knees in so your knees are sort of mid-mat, and then take yourself all the way round to a rabbit pose. So taking the hands down to the feet and open up the shoulders. So let the elbows open down to the mat. Let those shoulder blades really round and open. Tuck the head in. And again, if this is an awkward pose for you, sit on your block. So put your block onto the back of your thighs and let your bottom sit down onto it. Alternatively, you can have the block for your forehead as well. Move through your hips from side to side. Remember our breath, our focus, and our now. And then slowly rolling yourself up. Staying on your knees if this is okay for you. Otherwise, changing the position to a seated position and reach the arms up. You can keep them apart or interlace the fingers, your choice. Reach them up and stretch up and back. Open through that front body. Looking up towards the fingers, sliding the shoulders down. And then exhaling, placing the hands down on the mat, finding tabletop. And beginning to ripple through our spine into our cat-cows. So exhaling as we move up and inhaling as we move down into that dip. Exhaling. And inhaling. Just moving through the fluid motion. Maybe you want to pause in one particular position if you feel you need that stretch today. Keeping that movement going, flowing with the breath. And then once more, take your bottom back into that child's pose. If you have socks on, you may want to take them off now, so you don't slip. Then from our child's pose, we'll come up, we'll round, we'll push our toes underneath and lift our bottom up to our first down dog. Either onto your elbows or onto your hands. Spread the weight through your fingers. So we're not all just onto the wrists. Really grip through the fingers. Try and imagine that you have a grape underneath the palm of your hand. So you're using the whole of the body, whole of the hand, to actually grip onto the mat. Pushing the weight into the heels. Remembering that we're looking for a good straight line through both ends of our body, and we're tucking our tailbone under slightly, but keeping our shoulders open. So we have an engagement through our tummy. Now, at any time, you have your knees bent, or you just bring your knees down to the mat. Finding that breath, keeping that movement of stillness. So we just have that movement of the breath. Taking your left foot off the mat and tucking the toes behind the heel of the right leg. So you're actually going to put your big toe and your second toe around the back of the heel. And you're going to be pushing that heel away from you. So teasing that heel of the left foot down to the mat, letting the hips rock, feeling a stretch through the side body. If it gets too much, you take the weight down onto your knees or onto your elbows and just do what we were doing before, pushing that foot back. Lift the left leg into three-legged dog. So taking that leg up into your three-legged dog. Bend the knee, pull the knee into the chest nice and tight. Come up onto the ball of the foot, the right leg. Roll forwards and place the foot. Rocking forwards and backwards into this lunge. Just moving through that range. Maybe you find stillness with your hands down. Then taking the weight off and back to that down dog. If you need a child's pose, take your child's pose now. So we can repeat on the other side. Right foot comes to the left. We hug the toes around the back of the Achilles and push the heel away from you as you rock a little bit from side to side with that weight. Maybe your knee is bent. And just teasing into the back of the legs. Then inhaling, taking that right leg up to the ceiling. Bending the knee in, roll forwards, pull the knee into the chest. Take the weight over to the front, place the foot. And then rocking forwards and backwards into that lunge, opening up through the hips. You might want to put your knee down, that's fine. Use your kneeling pad. And then stepping all the way now to the front of the mat. Inhale, reach all the way up as you roll up into that high mountain. Exhale to fold forwards, chest to thighs, let the head hang. Bend the knees generously. Inhale as we come to flat back. Exhale into fold. Step back with one leg. Step back with the second leg, either into your plank or your knees down. Let the weight come down to the mat, either all the way or halfway. Tuck the toes, either for your cobra or your up dog. Take your way back to down dog by flowing through or moving through knees and then pushing up. Come up onto the balls of the feet, step to the front of your mat into that flat back position. And a big exhale as we bend the knees, let the head come down into that fold. And inhale, roll all the way up into that high mountain. Again, we exhale, we sweep the hands down as we come to fold. We inhale into our flat back position, so tippy fingers onto the mat or onto your block. Bend the knees generously, step back with one leg, step back with your second leg, either to plank or your knees down. Into your chaturanga, so bending your elbows, letting the body come down towards the mat, either halfway or all the way, and into your up dog or your cobra. Exhale, take it into down dog. take that right leg up and step it through the gap, turning the left foot, walking up now into warrior one. So your hips are going to face forward, your rib cage is in, we're reaching upwards, spreading those toes along the mat. Looking up towards our fingers, towards the sky, our drishti towards that middle finger. And exhale, come down, frame that foot. Step back into your plank. Lower down halfway and all the way. Up dog or cobra. Back into down dog. Inhale, the left leg lifts. As we bend the knee and sweep through and step forward with that left leg. Turning the right foot slightly. Lifting up into that warrior one. So we're looking to stack the knees over the ankles with that front foot. Reaching up. Really pulling the heels apart. Keeping that hip so it's round to the front. And then exhaling, hands down, take the foot back, your plank, pull your knees down, either come through cat-cow now if you're getting tired, or lower down, push yourself up, exhaling into your down dog. In our down dog we're going to take 5 full rounds of breath. So you either stay up here or you take your child's pose. Listen to the signals that your body's giving you. If you're getting tired, take that child's pose. If your wrists are aching. If you're in your down dog, spiral your shoulders around. Engage underneath your armpits. And see if you can just look through to your belly button. One more round of breath before we exhale, come up onto the balls of the feet, and then inhale, step to the front of our mat, into that flat back position. Exhaling for the last time into fold. And inhale, sweep the arms, ripple all the way up to our high mountain. Exhale and fold forwards in swan dive. Taking the hands down, this time step back with the left leg. And shuffle that right foot in so we can move into pigeon. You may want your block. To use your block, you'll place it under your hip, so under your right hip. And we're aiming to have our hips so they face the front. Remember, the option is to come up into a 90-90 position, either with or without the block. So you choose whichever works for you.
In pigeon, is that left leg supposed to be straight?
However, ideally. And then work through that hip. Okay, so depending on where you are with the position will depend on where you feel the best stretch. If you're slightly twisted, you're probably going to feel it into your glute. If you're twisting around the other direction, you'll probably feel it more into the opposite thigh and into the hip flexor. So playing with that stretch. You can stay up, or you can take elbows down or head down, coming over the other side. So play with where you feel the best stretch for you. And teasing into that stretch. Just remember, we're not forcing anything, we're not putting pressure onto the knee. Then tucking the toes of the left foot, pushing through your hands now. So if you're down on the mat, you're going to push through your hands and push up through your shoulders. Tuck your back toes, lift the knee, and see if you can lift that foot to step it forwards to bring that back knee down. Up to you if you have the back toes tucked or under, it's entirely up to you. Push through that front foot and take yourself to a lunge position with the knee down. Take the hands, place them on top of the thigh by the knee, so palm on palm, and then tuck the head and look through to the bottom knee. Really try and tuck that hip under and feel a stretch into the front of the thigh. Try and round the back as you exhale. Maybe you need to play with that angle a little bit to get that best stretch. Try and make sure your hips are both facing the front and your knee is stacked over your ankle. Inhaling, releasing the hands off the knee and reaching them up overhead. Maybe you add a small back bend if that's good for you. Slowly exhale, push that weight back onto that left knee and then flex the right foot. Yeah, now if you can reach the foot, if you can't reach the foot, you're going to use your block. So you're going to use your block here. Definitely don't put pressure onto this leg, otherwise you might damage your knee. You can have the block on the inside or the outside, whichever you feel more comfortable. If you find that you don't need the block, we're going to take the hand onto the outside of the foot or the ankle, and you're going to roll that leg in. So rolling the foot in, so that hip is into internal rotation, and feel a stretch onto the side of the ankle and the side of the thigh. Remember your breath, your calming breath. Slowly rotating that leg round, placing the foot back on the floor. Taking that weight forwards, tucking the back toes now, and lifting up into high lunge. Now, if you find this too difficult, you're going to keep the back knee on the floor. So reaching up, really pushing those heels apart, keeping those hips as even as you can, and working on that good opening through the front body. Let the knee come down really slowly, finding the floor, taking your left hand, placing it on the floor or onto your block, and rotating around, reaching that right hand up to the ceiling. Into that twist. Now maybe you can reach around and grab the foot. So the right hand would come round and you'd reach onto the foot. This is quite an intense stretch. It always gives me hamstring cramp that side, so I'm not going there, but you might want to. Keep breathing, really reach those arms apart, push the wrist and the hand down into the mat, slide that shoulder away, and then bring the hand down onto the inside of the foot. Onto the outside of the foot, and push yourself up, turn the back foot, push yourself up and take yourself to warrior two. So you're going to be facing away from me, pushing your knee over towards your little toe, trying to keep your body upright, Try and have your heels aligned with each other as though you've got an invisible line along your mat. The front knees bent heavily, not pushing over the toes, so knees stacked over the ankles. And then shoulders are over the hips, and you're looking down that front hand. Really slide the shoulders away, try and pull your ribcage in. And open up through that front hip into your warrior two. Body's nice and upright. See if you can let the hands come down. You might need to take your hands onto that front thigh, and I suspect you're going to need to shuffle your feet a little bit wider. So we're going into triangle next. Yeah, so taking that front leg now and straightening it, turning the back foot in slightly. Open the arms again. You may need your block for this one, but see how you go. Now push your left hip away from you, reach forwards with that body and rotate. So take the right hand down the inside of the right foot, step in if you need a little bit more, use the block if you need to, and reaching up. Yeah, so looking up towards that top hand, trying to have both legs straight, pushing the hip under, go down to the smaller level of the block if you're able to, and if it feels okay, you put the block on the outside of the ankle. Keep looking up, push the hip away from you, the back hip's coming away, and we're looking for a good straight line between wrist, shoulder, shoulder, wrist. Into our triangle. Bend that front knee quite heavily and step to the front end of your mat, keeping that weight in that right leg so we can go straight into tree. I'm just going to turn to the side. So either keeping the foot onto the floor, onto the ankle, or taking that foot up all the way and reaching the arms up overhead. Now the leg that you're standing on, pull your knee up towards your hip. Try and keep your hips so they face the front. So we open through the hip, not twist the body. Keep your eye gaze fixed. And then exhale, bring the hands down to your heart. Control that descent of the leg if possible. And then take yourself into an easy forward fold. So bending your knees. Maybe adding that little raggy doll from side to side. Placing the hands onto the floor, stepping back with the right leg, tucking your left leg in to pigeon. Repeating the same on the other side. So using your block, remember that you're never symmetrical. One side might feel really tight, the other side might feel okay. So use your props, never force anything. And we're always going to take the movement very literally on each side of our body. Just keep working with your breath, never worrying about what anyone else is doing or even what you did on your last practice. So listen to what your body is telling you today. Finding that good position. Just teasing into that stretch. Remember, the conversation that we have with our hips when we're into pigeon can change slightly from side to side and week to week. So listen to that conversation and listen to what you're being told. Tuck the foot. We're trying to push through the back foot, so you push the heel away. You're pushing into your hands to be strong through your shoulders And you're going to see if you can lift that foot to step it, so we can place that back knee down. So we can come into that low lunge. Keep the toes tucked if that's okay for you. Palm on palm on that knee, and then rounding, tucking your pelvis under and opening up through that hip. Really rounding that pelvis. Feel that stretch into your psoas, your hip flexor. Keeping that breath. Take the arms out, keep the shape in the hips, and inhale as we reach up. Slide the shoulders away from the ears, look up towards those middle fingers. And find that back bend, only if it's okay for you. Exhaling and letting that weight shift back onto that back knee. Remember, you may need your block. Otherwise, flexing your foot, taking your right hand to the outside of your foot, and then rolling that foot in. So even if you can't reach the foot, you're going to roll that leg in to get to the outside of the hip. Just make sure you don't put pressure onto that leg in this position, otherwise you're going to bend your knee the other way. So use your block for support. Well done. Keep your focus. Begin to inhale and walk yourself forwards, placing the foot firmly on the floor, and then pushing into the back toes, pushing into the front heel, and lifting up into that high lunge. Reaching, rotating those hips so they face the front, pushing the heels away from each other, making sure that knee isn't over the toes and it's just over the ankles. Really working on that balance, and your option is to keep the knee down. Feel that fire into the front thigh. You're doing great. And then exhale, take the hands down. We frame that foot. Keep the right hand down. Back knee comes down as we come into that twist as we inhale. So reaching, opening up through that upper back. Try not to twist through the hips. So all that rotation comes from the upper part of the back. And you have the option here of sweeping that hand round and seeing if you can catch the foot. Works for me this way, not the other way. So you can always use your strap if you want to try this one. Just getting that deep stretch into the quad. And trying to sink those hips down towards the mat. Releasing that leg if you have it. Now turning that back foot. Climb up the leg if you need to, or use the strength through your legs to find that warrior two. Hips towards me, heels aligned, shoulders wrapped, pelvis tucked under, so no bums back. Really tuck that pelvis under and send that weight towards the little toe. Eye gaze towards that front hand. Really reach. Reach and stretch that body away. Sink into the legs. Remember, our intention for today is our movement, so trying to make the transition between poses fluid. From here, turn that back foot around. Remember, for this one, you may need to shuffle your feet a little bit closer. We're straightening the legs, we're pushing that back hip away from us, a good straight body, stretch the arms out, and then start to hinge. Sliding that hand down the inside of the leg, and keeping our body as straight as we can, so we make that triangle shape. Using your block, your ankle, and if you're able to, you'll have your block on the outside of the ankle. And really opening up through that side body. If you're not too wobbly, look up towards that top hand. Bend that front knee slightly to take that pressure off. Windmill those arms up and step to the front of your mat. So your back foot will become your true leg. So you're stepping and you're taking that leg up to your tree. So finding wherever that is. Maybe the foot is on the floor, maybe onto the shin, or maybe taking it all the way back up into the thigh. Take the arms up if you can. And embrace the tree wobbles. Exhaling, letting the leg come down, hand come down, and finding that fold again. So just letting that weight come down to the mat and raggy doll from side to side, taking that pressure away from your spine. Bending your knees, making sure that you're in the middle of your mat, letting your heels come off and hugging yourself into a ball. Seeing if you can balance with your heels off the mat and your hands off. Finding that good bit of flexion into your spine. And that little ankle dance that's happening on the mat. Placing the hands down in front of you and let your knees come down. Taking a moment if you need to put some warm clothing on. So you may want to put your socks back on or your jumper before we come down into our Shavasana. So when you have adjusted your clothing and you feel comfortable, you'll take your way down onto your mat. Maybe your legs are long, maybe your knees are tapped together. And just try and let everything go. Today for our Shavasana, we find just peace within our bodies. We let go. time to relax. Taking that stillness. Being one with ourselves and our breath. Try and stay completely within yourself. And taking a long time over our Shavasana today. Try and notice how your body is feeling right now. And totally calming. Seeing if you can let everything just let go. Avoid any distractions popping into your head. You're going to work on yourself. Begin to focus on body parts, particular areas in your body. So finding maybe an area into your hips or into your shoulder. As you inhale, visualize that you're inflating a balloon into that area. And as you exhale, visualize the releasing from that area. seeing if you can adopt this for your whole body. Inflating and deflating. But more importantly, release. Release and let go, and use your breath to help you do that. Feel the body, notice those sensations. Talk to your body and let it talk to you back. To finish today, your practice, I'd like to read you a little poem. So it's called Poem of the One World. This morning, the beautiful white heron was floating along above the water. And then into the sky of this, the one world we all belong to. Where everything sooner or later is part of everything else. Which thought made me feel, for a little while, quite beautiful myself. So please make sure that you do take time for yourself. Just to stop and enjoy your practice. Remembering that yoga is not just about the body. It's more importantly working on our mental well-being. So begin to slowly move yourself wherever feels good to move from first. And when you're ready, you'll move yourself over to one side, to your right hand side, hugging your knees in your chest. And maneuvering yourself round up to a seated position when you're ready. stretching your arms out. Really open your chest up to the sky. And take a big inhale. Follow your eye gaze up towards your fingers. And exhale, just bring your hands down towards your heart center. And give yourself a little clap.